Okay, for this first tutorial, I am going to go through the steps to create a new armor item. Basically, the same thing that is listed here on the RCK, creating a new armor item. I have already downloaded the helmet, and which you go to from this link here. You just click this link, and then you can go to Sketchfab and download the helmet. I'm not going to cover how to download anything. And then you click on this link to download the base meshes for Blender. And then you basically extract those and get them ready to go. Then open up the base mesh in Blender. This is the male. And if you're not familiar with Blender, just like real quick, if you hold down the middle mouse button or the wheel, click the wheel, you can orbit around like this. And then if you hold shift, you can pan around. It is different than Unity, so you cannot right click and use WASD to move around. You can zoom in with the wheel, you can hold shift and click the middle mouse button to pan around, or you can orbit around like this. These are the basic commands. There are other commands, but we'll go through them as needed. So here we have the base human mesh for RCK, and it is got this Unity compliant skeleton. Over here you can turn the eyeball back on to see the skeleton or armature or rig, whatever you want to call it, and then the rest of the body there. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and import FBX to import the helmet, which I've downloaded here in this Great Helm source. There's the FBX, and we can see that it puts it down here at the origin. That is where the helmet will go, which is good because it will work for a in-world item, although you might want to have it not be in the center of the origin, because that's where it'll show up on the ground. So it'll you'll have to kind of float it up if you want it to be above the table. I'll get into that later. We'll move the origin first. Let's put this on this guy. So over here in the hierarchy, actually you can see this is the helmet that I have selected, and it's just got the mesh there, and I'm on this little triangle thing for data. That's where vertex groups are, which it doesn't have any right now, and that's because it is not skinned. This is just a mesh. It's not skinned to any character skeleton. So what we need to do is just drag it, and then while you're dragging, you can see that little tooltip says control to link, shift to parent. So hold down shift and then parent it to the skeleton there, and then I'm going to press G to grab. I'm going to press Z to lock that in the Z, which in Blender, unlike Unity, Z is the up and Y is forward. A little different there. And then G to grab and Y to move it over. And it's got some pretty bad clippings, so we need to make it a little bigger. So press S to scale and just move the mouse over until it gets a little bigger. And then it looks like it is on him pretty well. Maybe we can make his eyes actually line up. So G, Z, move it down. Yeah, it doesn't want to do that. Well, and once I do that G, Z, I'm pressing left click to confirm the movement. If I do G, Z, and move it around or whatever, if I press right click, it doesn't apply it, so it puts it back where it was. Well, let's try S to scale. Make it bigger again. Then it's kinda aligned with the eyes, and only clipping into the shoulder a teeny bit, which I don't want it to do that. So let's just GZ, we'll put it back up. So it looks like it is not clipping with the shoulder. He can't really see out of it, so this isn't the most perfect mesh, but that'll do. Maybe I could try rotating it a little bit. So if you press R, and then this is based on how I'm looking at the camera, but I could also press X to make sure that I'm only rotating on the X-axis like that, and then I'm just moving the mouse back and forth so I could angle it just a teeny bit down, and still, and then yeah, so you can kind of see the eyes in there. Alright, so I think that is placed pretty good. Might be too big realistically, but whatever, we'll call that good enough for now. So we're almost done with this piece. Number one, we have the mesh highlighted here. Let's press F2 and we'll rename it to Great Helm Male. And I'm calling it male because it is going to be attached to the skeleton. It's not currently attached to the skeleton, so I'm going to click the eye so I can see that. Then when I have the mesh selected first, then hold down Shift and click on the skeleton, so it's now also selected, and it's the second thing selected. The dark orange is the first thing selected, and then this other one is lighter orange, so it's a second one. And then I'm going to press Control P to parent it to the skeleton. And you want to pick with empty groups. And what that just did is, if I select just the helmet here, we'll be able to see on this data tab now in the vertex groups, it has all this stuff, all of these things. These are the vertex groups, indicate the weighting of how the mesh is going to deform along with the skeleton when it moves, and they're all empty, so it's not doing anything. And in this case, because it's a helmet, the only one we're going to want to do is head. But basically it adds a vertex group for every single bone in here, because you can weight paint, which I'll go over in just a second. You can you could make it move with any of these bones, and the way that it works is it just does a name matching, so you can rename these things. They're not actually like tied to bones or anything. They're just vertex groups, and they're named after the bones. And so that's the way it all works. It just moves along with the vertices, along with whatever bone has the same name as the vertex group. And we need to leave all of these empty ones in here because Unity expects there to be a vertex group for every single bone, or else it will have an error and not work. Okay, the other thing that it did is on this modifiers, you can see now it added an armature modifier. This modifier is basically what attaches it to the rig, the skeleton, the armature, whatever you want to call it. All those things are probably valid. Okay, so we just leave that alone, but make sure it's there, and you can see that it's tied to the skeleton. And maybe you could just add this modifier without having to do the control P thing, but that kind of automatically did that, plus adding these in here. Okay, and so now if you want to see, now we want to look and make sure that the weights are painted for the vertex group. So hold down shift again to select also the skeleton, but it needs to have the helmet selected. And let's see if I got the right order. No. Okay, if it says pose mode, edit mode, that means that I need to do it selected in the opposite order. So I select the skeleton, and then the second thing, hold shift down and select the helmet. Now, because the mesh is the active thing, whichever one's the last one is the active one. So because the mesh is the active one, and that's the lighter orange. Now we can go to weight paint, and you can see that it's all blue. All blue means there's no weights painted. And you can see, like, if you click on these vertex groups, they're all going to be empty because that's all we had. So then over here in the brush settings, we want to set the weight to 1. We've got the head selected, and we can just paint this whole thing. 1 is red. Really, we don't need to paint because we want this helmet to stick to the head bone, not move based on any other bone. And so we could just do that painting way, but there's also so there was painting to set it to 1, but we really don't even need to do that because we want the whole helmet to be there. So then if you have the helmet selected, press tab to go into edit mode, press A to select everything, and then down here, over here, I have this vertex group head selected, and it says weight 1. So I've selected all that mesh, and I can just click assign. Now if I press tab to get back out of edit mode, you can see that the whole helmet is bright red. So the weight values go from 0 to 1, so it's like a blend of how much influence a particular bone has on the mesh when it moves. And for this helmet, it's super easy. We just want it to all be 1. So we want it to be this bright red. If it is, then we know then that vertex group is good, and we want that to be on the head. You can see if I click neck, it's blue again because there's no influence from those bones. Okay, so now we can get out of weight paint mode. We can just go back to object mode. You can test whether or not this is working if you select the bones and then go to pose mode and then grab this bone, which I think is the head bone probably, and then let's say I press R to rotate, and you can see, well, it's going crazy because I'm rotating around, but if I press Y to rotate on the Y, then I can do it back and forth like that, or X, can go rotate around there, and you can see that when I move the bone, the mesh is following along, and that is what we want. So I just press right click to not apply any of those rotations. There is a way to reset that pose if you mess it up, but just don't apply the changes and you'll be fine. I can go over that later. Alright, so now I'm just going to go back to object mode, this little menu up there. So now select the helm, hold shift to select the skeleton, and those are the only two things that we want to be selected. And now we'll go to file and export FBX. Find a good spot to put it, which I'm going to put it in the same Great Helm place where the original was, but we're going to call it Great Helm Mail. And we only want the limit to the selected objects only. And we want the mesh and hold down shift. Also the armature. We want to export it with the skeleton. We want to switch this to FBX unit scale, this apply scalings. You leave the -E forward, the Y up, apply unit, and you check this experimental box. Also expand this armature thing and uncheck the add leaf bones. I honestly don't know what that is, but I think you uncheck that. We could uncheck animation or leave it. There aren't any animations, so it's fine. Okay, so with all those selected, and we've got Great Helm _ mail FBX, just click export FBX. Alright, and so then we have to do the same thing for the female one. So we also downloaded the human female Blender file. And this one comes with the skeleton not hidden, but it's the same thing. And so now again, so we're doing it a second time for the female, and that's good to get practice. So import the FBX and go to the Great Helm source. This low one is the one that is the one we didn't do, the original. Then we have that here, and let's go ahead and rename it with F2 to say Great Helm Female. And the reason we have to do this, even though it's the same helmet and whatever, is that the skeleton is different. So we need to bind it to the female skeleton as well. So then we drag this, we hold down shift to parent it to the skeleton, then it goes in there. I do not know why sometimes it puts this weird copy in there and sometimes it doesn't. It didn't do that with the last one, but I found when it does that, you can just drag it over top of this one and it'll, I guess, fix itself. Okay, and then you can see there's no vertex groups in there currently. So this one is the one where the skeleton needs to be the active one. Oh, well, before I parent it to the bones, let's move it into position. So G to grab, Z, move it up. G, Y, move it over a little bit. And actually, the female might not need it to be scaled so much. Sorry, I'm not trying to like look at her model parts up close. Uh, yeah, so it fits pretty well. Let's G, Z, where are the eyes at? Let me turn off this skeleton so I can see her eyes. Yeah. Let's press S to scale it up a little bit. And let's do the thing I did not G, R. X, point it down a smidge. So she's basically able to see it. I mean, this isn't perfect, but you can spend as much time as you want fiddling around with making it look good. Let's move on. Okay, so then we need to have the helmet and hold down shift and select the skeleton and control P to parent with empty groups. Then we click on this, we can see we have it, and there's not going to be anything for the head. So we'll hold down shift to select the skeleton as well. And then we're going to go into, select the skeleton first, then hold down shift to select the helmet. I always forget the order. And then now we can go into weight paint. We've got head selected. Easy thing to do is just press tab to go into edit mode. You can see everything is already orange. But if not, you can press A to select all. With everything selected, we can look over here. We're going to set the weight to 1 by clicking assign the selected vertices to the active vertex group. So assign with a weight of 1. Then I'm going to press tab to get back out, and we can see that the helmet is nice and red. Then we're going to exit the weight paint mode. It's always good to double check to select the skeleton, go to pose mode, grab the head bone, press R, and then Y, and yeah, cool, it's linked up. Right click to not apply those changes. Let's go back to object mode. We can further double check that we're good to go by checking this helmet. Not only do we have the vertex groups, but we check the modifier. Yes, we have the armature modifier that is tied to the skeleton. And that is all we need to do for this one. So then we select both the helmet and the skeleton. Now we go to export and FBX. None of the settings are saved because each individual blend file has its own settings. So they will be saved on the male one, but not the female one, because this is a whole another Blender universe. So we want to make sure we've limited to the selected objects with this checked. We want only the armature and the mesh to be exported. Switch all local to FBX unit scale. Check this experimental thingy. Uncheck add leaf bones. Find a good spot to put it. I'm going to put mine back in the Great Helm source. I'm going to click on that. It's red because that already exists. I'm going to rename it to female. And then we're going to export FBX. Then one other thing we're going to do is make the in-world item. So we'll just keep doing it in the female one since we're already here. Import FBX, import that low one again. It is down there. On the ground. And so we can change the origin by just going into well, it's already at the ground, but the mesh is going halfway through the ground. So we'll just go into edit mode and press A. I think I may also have the skeleton selected. Hold on. Make sure that only have, yeah. Make sure you only have the helmet selected. And actually, while we're here, let's go ahead and press F2. Rename this to Great Helm in World. Is a good name. Okay, so we've only got that selected. Now we press Tab. It's all orange, so all the vertices are selected. And we can just G to grab, Z, move it up so it looks like it's there. Actually, let me right click to not apply one of those keys. You can press 1, and now you're looking at front mode or whatever. So now it'll be easier to line it up. So I can press G, Z, put it up there to where it's kind of on the ground, and then I think it's 3. Oh, and you have to use those numbers 1 and 3. They have to be on the numpad. If you have like a laptop or something, then there's a special setting you have to use to have it act like a numpad. But if you've got a full size keyboard, then these 1 camera switches are on the numpad. So 1 is for front and 3 is for side view. Oops. And if I do that, it switches me back to perspective mode. So if I hold down shift, then I can pan over, which is what I was trying to do. So instead of making this float in the sky, which these things are kind of in the way, so I'm going to hide that, and let's hide the feet. That's good enough. Okay, so I've still got this selected. I'm press R, and I'm looking at the X-axis, so I know I'm press X, so I can only rotate it that way. Although I think also because of my view, it's only going to rotate this way anyway. So I'll kind of angle it like that, and then G, Z, and get it, you know, basically there, R, X. Yeah, so that way, if you think of this green line as like a table or whatever, that's how it's going to look in the world. Okay. Press Tab to get out of that. So now we have that there. And we've effectively, we've left the origin where it was, and just moved all the vertices up. So now we don't need to parent this to the skeleton or anything, because this is just the in-world mesh for like a pickup or whatever. So now we'll just go to File, and we're going to export FBX, and we'll call this one the Great Helm in World. And I don't think having armature checked will matter, because there isn't one technically for having only selected objects, but let's uncheck it. Let's select just mesh anyway. That's the only thing we really need, and just press export FBX. Okay, now we're in the home stretch. Now we're going to go into Unity. It's time to bring all these meshes into Unity. This is just a cell. You can use any cell or even a scene. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be like any official RCK thing, at least for the part of creating all the prefabs. So I have a folder here in my project where I'm creating these things, and I'm going to make a folder for create folder for Great Helm. It's good to organize stuff into folders. Okay, and then where is that? Oops. Okay, so then I'm gonna go here into my Great Helm source, and we have the in-world female, and male. We don't need the low, that was the original one. And just drag all those in here. And then we're gonna go up here and the textures. We can leave it in the texture. Well, yeah. We don't need to organize it that much. So just select all these textures and bring them in. Okay. And then when you just drag a texture into Unity, like if you're used to getting them as assets or whatever, these are already typically set up, but we need to go to the normal map and change the texture type to normal map. Click apply. The rest of these probably don't need anything to be done with them. Okay, so then if we drag this into the world, you can see we've got that helmet there just on the floor, and looks like its origin is a little weird, so I should have probably reset that so that it's more of the way Unity would expect. Hopefully it's not a problem for the other ones. If you put this in, you can see that it's, yeah, so that's fine because it's part of the same skeleton. You can see that it puts it way up there because that's on the head, and it doesn't have the rest of the body. That's because it's going to be a modular thing. Okay, so we need to create a material. Create a material. Let's call it Great Helm. And we can just use this standard one. You could use fancier shaders and stuff if you want, but for now, let's just do that. So with the albedo in there, and the occlusion is AO, and I think it uses the metallic workflow, so we'll use the metallic one up there. And the normal map goes in the normal map, and might be able to put the roughness in the height map, but I think that's all we need for the basics of Unity. So then you can take this material and drop it onto there. It's very shiny. So turn the smoothness down so it's more metallic, but still some shiny. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's yeah, that's good enough. Okay, so we've got that material created, and we're gonna put the material on this one on the floor too. So we've got the Great Helm in world. This one we'll just make into a prefab. Okay, so for the to make the prefab for the male, you just want the mesh here that has the skin mesh renderer. You don't want the skeleton and all that, because that's not what goes into the actual prefab for the item that you wear. You only need the skin mesh renderer. It hooks up to the skeleton of the other character, but since they're the same skeleton, that's why they work. In order to create a prefab out of this, you got to unpack these, or else, well, it won't let you. See, if I try to drag the male one out, it's like, no, you can't. So right click and do prefab and just do unpack completely. All these things will be gray, and then now I can grab just the skin mesh renderer Great Hem male, pull that into being a prefab. I can delete that out of here. I can delete this in world one out for now. Well, yeah, I'll delete that one out. Oh, and then we need to do the female. Put that in there. Apply the material to it. You can just drop it on there, or you could go in here. If it's too finicky to do it in the world, and you can drop it here under the materials. You can do the same thing. Great Helm. And then Uh, unpack this prefab, unpack completely. Let's make a Great Helm female prefab. Delete that. Okay, then next thing we need to do is create some RCK items. So we go to right click in the project here, go to create, go to RPG creation kit, and go to where is it? Items, armor item, naming convention. Put a square bracket armor, square bracket. We'll call this Great Helm. Then over here we'll call Great Helm 001. I don't know if we'll ever have 100 of these, but whatever. An icon. We could make an icon. Well, yeah, one easy way, in case you really want an icon, is to pick the Great Helm in world. Then you can use this 3D preview here, if it will be cooperative. It's weird because the origin is all wacky. Okay, well that's close enough. So kind of line it up, and then on Windows anyway, I'm sure Mac has a way to do it, but on Windows, press Win Shift S, take a screen clip of it, and then I don't know if I can paste from the clipboard into an image. So I would just use paint.net real quick, edit, paste in a new image. There, I've got my thing. It's actually got this gray background. I probably don't want that for the icon. And probably want it to be of a square size, so let's resize the canvas and make sure it's like I guess 512 by 512. Keep it in the center. Okay, then I will use the magic wand here, hold down shift, select the gray, put the tolerance way down. Well, that's a bit clumsy because this helmet is also gray, but close enough. Got that selected. Delete. Got that extra little bit. Use the eraser. Whoops. To erase that line away. And then we'll resize the image, because for an icon, let's just make it 128 by 128. Because definitely be a better icon, but this will do for now. File, save as, and we'll put that in the armor helm, Great Helm, Great Helm icon. Okay. I went fast on that, but if you want a separate tutorial on doing images, I can do that later. I do need to make this 2D and UI. For the UI, it's a single, and alpha's transparency is already checked, so just click apply. There we go. Now we have an icon. So after we create the armor item, then in the tutorial it says to do the in-world thing. So we take that prefab of the in-world, put that into the scene, and we can select that, go to RCK, RPG Creation Kit, and go to create new and do item in world, and put that game object. That's our item in world. Mesh collider, convex, and box colliders probably fine. We could change those another time. The item ref, that's this armor great helm thing that we made here. And I don't think we need to save as prefab because we already have a prefab. Yeah, then we have that selected, and then would say complete and close. Item in the world has been created. That's the collider stuff that it put on it. So it's got the box collider, which is the pickup trigger, and the mesh collider for, I suppose, whatever that's for. The hitbox, maybe. Okay, then I think we can technically delete this in-world out of the out of here because it should have updated this one. No, where did it put that? Oh, I'm supposed to update the prefab. That's right. It added all this stuff, the item in world stuff, and I need to apply to the prefab. So now this in world has all that same stuff on it. So now I can drop that or get rid of that one, and then actually, so we can test it. I'm gonna put it on this table here. I'll take the Great Helm in world right here, just set it on the table. Because it's in the scene now, we need to have a GUID for it, so you can right click on the item in world and go to regenerate GUID. Boop, and there it is. I don't know where items are supposed to go. Maybe they're supposed to go in the cell structure as well. Cell info, update the cell, because we have that stuff there. I'll have to check the the other demo scenes to see where the items go. They're probably in the structures, I'm guessing. But it doesn't move them automatically like it does with an AI character. Okay, so we've done that, Okay, now we want to go back to the armor item here and finish that up, so we can click configure item. And we can put the sprite in here, our icon of the helmet. We've got the prefab for the Great Helm male. That's the biped model. And the in-world model is this one here. And it's the same for the female. I suppose you could have separate ones. Maybe that's a thing. And then the prefab for the female one goes in this biped model. Then we've got the Great Helm 001 ID. Let's call it Great Helm. I don't know how much those things weigh. 10. This is a heavy armor. Health. I don't know about the durability of that. Armor rating, whatever. I don't know. 5. Value 100. It can really be, whatever makes sense for your game. Biped object, head. It goes on the head. And we want to hide the hair. If they have hair set up, you don't want to see it through this one. And you can have multiple things checked. Like for a long robe, you would want to check both the upper body and the lower body for consuming those slots. And there's actually additional hiding things here. I don't know why only hair, amulet, and rings are over here. Maybe they're the most common. But if you need to hide other stuff, and there's other settings as well. But I think overall that is all we need to set up for now to have it work. So we click OK for that. Then if you go to your RCK object viewer, it's not in the items list. I don't think there's a way to refresh that from here. So, oh wait, no, it is already here. Great Helm 01. I guess maybe when I gave it a GUID, it added it. That's a, oh no. This is not in. This is not the database. Sorry. RCK object window searches the whole system for all the items. It does not list just what's in the database, but there is an items database that needs to be updated. So we go to here and do update all databases, and it should have updated. There's actually, if you want to check item database, or it's in the RCK folder way under somewhere down here. There's databases, and then you go to the items database, and this scriptable object here, this has the items database, and you can see the Great Helm 001 is there. And if you don't want to update all databases, you can actually come to this items database file and right click on it and do fill with all items, and it will do this. I think the update all databases does the same thing. Okay, so now that it's in the database and we have it on the table here, that I think should be it. I can give it to this NPC to make sure it works as a female. So let me do that real quick. Go to the RCK AI editor, and she is actually called Core Mage 01. It's just a part of my thing. So I can give her the Great Helm, which I'm going to give her this Great Helm in her inventory, and then click here to go ahead and equip it. She's wearing caster robes and a Great Helm now. Okay, and then I'll save and close. Okay, so now I'm going to go to main menu and press play, and with any luck this will all have worked and I didn't miss anything. Okay, load game. I'll just go here. I've modified my system so I go to a different place to this room, but that's not important. Okay, so oh, it's very wobbly physics. Maybe it should be more of a box glider. Take the Great Helm. Put it on. Oh, it looks like it's working. But she's not wearing it. Did I forget to equip it or something? Maybe I didn't save properly. I'm not sure why she's not wearing it, but I am. And there you go. I think that I'm gonna call that a successful attempt. I'll figure out what's going on with her later. It's not really the focus exactly of this particular tutorial. Hopefully that helped. This tutorial was probably just as much for me as it is for you. And yeah, there you go.